Welcome to a Hero's Welcome podcast, where stories, healing, and culture meet. Every episode, we invite you to listen, reflect, and be curious.
This podcast is a space for mental health therapists where we talk about the real work of healing.
Whether you're a mental health professional, a proud geek, or somewhere in between, you're in the right place.
So let's jump in.
Welcome back, listeners. We've got a special little episode for you this morning. It's just me and my bestie, Liliana.
That's me. Chucho think God is sleeping because lately he wants to be a part of everything for everyone who's listening out here. But yeah, he just wants to be a part of it.
He wants to be a part of it.
By the way, no one can see it, but I just realized what I'm wearing. Yes. We're going to go with that.
Liliana's got a great t-shirt. It says local legend. And Liliana, anyone who's met you would definitely agree. So, Liliana, you and I were chatting.
Yes.
And then we decided, we need to hit record.
Yes.
We need to hit record. Something's been coming up in supervision and consultation for both of us recently.
Yes. So part of the conversations that we've been having when we talk in consultation or supervision with therapists is the evolution of therapists, right? So we're finding out the way that you and I talk about after, because we're work wives, that's what it is. So when we're like texting or calling each other, we're like, have you noticed these patterns? And so let's name it. What do we mean by the evolution of therapists?
So I think we were talking about it in this kind of developmentally appropriate, right? Brand new clinicians getting out of school, trying to survive, right? When you get out of school and you get your prelim, your initial license, it is finding a job and learning to survive in this field, and in this world.
Which is not kind.
It's not an easy thing. And we've also noticed that depending on the setup right out of school makes a big difference. If you're in a psychiatric hospital setting or a large organization where you're working 40 hours plus on call,
yes.
That's a different life than those that find small group practices or smaller clinics that do more of a harmonious balance between life and work.
Yes.
Right? So we get brand new clinicians out into the field trying to survive, but then also being hit with real life experiences that we can't plan for everything or get exposed to everything during our schooling. And depending on your program, you get more or less of that.
Yeah.
And so we get new clinicians who might have the book knowledge, but not the experience yet. And it can feel very overwhelming for them to start in the field.
Yes.
Once they kind of get their footing, Liliana, what do we see next?
Well, first of all, let's name that when we go to our field, when we go to school, I love when you told me, like, I went to school to choose a career. And I was like, oh, I remember. And we walk out with jobs. That's so disappointing.
It was so disappointing. Yes. If you haven't heard my previous talk, I will not call it a rant, my previous talk on that our system is set up, our schooling and our programs are set up to have us have jobs, right? I went to school for a career, what I was going to dedicate my life and learning to, and then found myself in jobs where I was easily replaced, poorly managed, poorly supported, poorly funded. And it felt like we were in jobs instead of careers. And, the difference between those two things is like, am I replaceable versus am I a valued member of this professional community?
And how much in debt I got to have this career that ended up being a job. Then now I have to go to work to pay off.
Yes.
Which that's another whole topic, but
yes.
Okay. So part of the conversation that we were having as we were talking about the evolution of therapists is that we finish our school. Of course, we do internship, we finish our school, and then we go and start working towards acquiring hours to get our licensure. So during that time, we have to prove ourselves. So master's degree, working towards licensure. Then you're like, as soon as I get my license, I will feel liberated. I will have the, I know everything. And Maria's laughing.
Yes, you get blessed from the knowledge gods.
And that didn't happen. And then you start thinking, like, so what's next? Because our field is not kind.
Mhm.
And it tells us that we have to keep doing always everything, right? So then we start thinking about all these magical models, all these different paths that we can take
Sure.
from.
Certifications,
Mhm.
credentials.
And we start taking on so many of them, which it is helpful, but it is insane, not only the amount of time that you have to give to do that, the amount of money that you have to pay off to do that, which it doesn't increase your pay either.
Yes.
There's something so weird here, but okay, let's just go with me. So, master's degree, pre-licensure, licensure, you get anointing, you get all this knowledge, and then you start going all these different paths like an octopus, like just trying to figure things out. And then at some point, you're like, the next step is becoming a supervisor.
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
why not? You have so much training in becoming a leader.
Well, sometimes it's out of necessity,
Yes.
right? Sometimes you are, and if you've attended our supervision talks or trainings, right? I've been very vocal about my experience as a supervisor. I was last therapist standing, so I got the job. I
Hmm.
didn't ask for it. It was
Yes.
handed to me with no additional training or support or knowledge, not much more money, and not a true understanding of my licensure being on the line. That's what supervision is, right?
Yeah. The
Uh,
liability that we take.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and let's be honest. This evolution is necessary for many of us.
Yes.
Surviving on one-to-one client-based services and having our income based on that is very risky. It's very unsafe, and it doesn't. And when we feel unsafe, we can't do our best work. Like we know this as clinicians, right?
Yes.
And so we do start looking then for other ways of income, other means of income, other ways to support ourselves so we can continue to do the one-to-one services that we want to do.
Yeah.
And the next baby step seems to be become a supervisor.
Hmm. And what Maria and I have discussed, and if you have gone to our trainings, is that there's no proper training in becoming a supervisor, which is leadership. They give you training in regards to the model, but not the liability. Even when you tell me about ethics, which if you have taken any of our trainings, we have said, well, what kind of ethics are you taking?
Right.
Because there's not even an understanding of that. So, again, just to keep naming it and keep building, if you're keeping track, you go from being a student to getting your master's, to being pre licensure, to getting licensure, to study whatever models they're telling you to take, and then supervision or vice versa, whatever comes
Right.
first. And then you move to presenting. You start becoming a presenter or a trainer, right?
Yes.
Like that
And
evolution.
absolutely. And not for everybody. Not
Mm-mm.
for everybody. Not everybody enjoys teaching. Um, well, this is our podcast, so we can be honest. Not everybody should be teaching. Uh, um, and right, and we do find, we've seen, especially recently, there's been a couple of individuals that we've seen in consultation that we're supporting in taking that next step into becoming a presenter,
Yeah.
into sharing their knowledge, becoming a source for the field and our profession.
Hmm.
And it's necessary. Like we're going to need new information and new presenters, because that's that next generation, right? We
Yeah.
we need to hear from them. They have great ideas. They have great innovations, and it helps move those older thinking models
Yes.
out of the way, right?
Which we're not saying the older thinking models are wrong, but there's adaptations that we need to do because we're not living in the same environments
Yes.
that when those came up, they were needed,
Yes.
right? Also, there's no new model in psychotherapy. So, for all of you out there, like, this is the evidence based, like, stop it.
Right.
Oh, there's so many things here. And this is a new model. Stop it. Or like you are copying from this model. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
think it's something that Liliana, that you and I have talked about, but I heard from Lisa Dion years and years and years ago that stuck with me was
yeah,
that there's no new information.
yeah.
There is new ways to use that information,
Yes.
right? And that it's that adaptation part that the information from our founding theories is valid
Yes.
and we need to question its validity now,
Yeah.
right? And we need to make adaptations to those models to fit the world that we live in and the people
Yeah.
that we serve now.
There you go. So look at that. Not only we're talking about the evolution that happens or it needs to happen in our field, but
Hmm.
also the individuals, the evolution of how we push our field to continue doing what we need to do.
Yeah,
So part of the conversation with our consultees and supervisees is you don't have to.
right.
You don't have to do anything that doesn't call you. When they come and say, like, I want to be a supervisor, it's like, that sounds amazing. You will
Yeah,
be great. And let's sit down and talk about the liability, the responsibility, and why are you being called to do this? Not
yes.
because you have to justify it to me, but is it clear to you?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's twofold, right? We want to make sure people know that there's an option outside of one-to-one services. Once you have got that down and you are grounded in theory and practice, then other doors can open for you if you're interested. If you are in love with doing one-to-one and that's serving you right now, continue to do that.
Yes.
And it's okay if you feel like, ooh, I'd like to do something a little different.
Yes.
Liliana and I are making and finding others that are holding space for how can we do this differently?
Yeah.
How can we do this better?
Mhm.
And a lot of that comes from new people wanting to share what works for them.
Yes. So even in that evolution, not only of our that for our field that we tend to refuse, and we will talk about it in another podcast, but also the evolution of therapists in regards to our growth
Yeah.
and the possibilities that we can do. And in that also, can we name that it's okay for you to change specialties?
Yes. Yes. I think we not only need to name that, I think we need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
I think so many of us, right, especially when we're new and we're scared. Let's be
Yeah.
really honest. It's scary as a new clinician.
Yeah.
We find something that fits and we hold on to that.
Yes.
And we grow as clinicians with experience, with the world that we're living in, with support and consultation and supervision, and perhaps through, you talked about the octopus, like all the different credentialing options that are out there for you, models to follow, and you're going to change as a person. You're going to go through life as a human,
Yeah.
and that might change your specialty. How
Yeah.
you see change, how you see people, what fits for you in that moment. We should be allowed, and what Liliana and I want to do is give permission if you need it. You don't need it from us, but we're going to give it to you anyway. You can change your path
Yeah.
at any point. We believe that for our clients because that's what we do.
Mhm.
So, as supervisors and as consultants, we believe that for our field and our providers as well, right?
Yes.
You can at any time pause and go, oh, I don't know that this fits for me anymore, and I would like to do something different.
Hmm.
So, just take that in. You're allowed to make a different choice at any time.
Hmm. I wish all of you can see Maria's faces as she's naming and celebrating all that for you, right? Either because you're aging, hello, my niece does not respond the same. I cannot keep chasing kiddos, or because of medical trauma. Um,
Yeah.
it's not sexy when you have to be running with the oxygen behind someone.
Right?
Uh,
And the world that we're living in, right? Our values now are so in the room with us,
yes.
right? Liliana and I have talked that, we age ourselves. When we went to school, right? Like I have ingrained in my brain a moment where my supervisor told me right before a session, Maria, outside of that room does not exist.
Oh yeah.
You are a blank slate. You're gonna, right? And we've come
Yeah.
so far from that. So much so that what's happening politically, social justice wise, economically even, is showing up in our room. And that's going to give you pause.
Yeah.
And perhaps you're going to need to do something different for
Yeah.
yourself and for your clients,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know for ourselves and my own group, we have made our values very clear. And we stand behind them now, where I love you, Dr. Barbara Frankel. And I know that if you knew that that stuff was up in grounding values, I know you would support it. And you would also tell me it doesn't need to be in a therapy room, but
Yeah.
it does. It's already here.
Yeah. So for all of you, part of the evolution of you as a therapist is, taking in and integrating not only what you are learning in regards to models, but what you're learning in regards to neurobiology, what you're learning in regards to social justice, what you're learning about your own evolution as a person, your values, how is that changing, your priorities, how is that changing? And then make an informed decision of what's going to work for you, not because what is required of you, but because what's going to work for you. You as an individual spend a lot of time and money, as we mentioned earlier, for you to do what is needed for the career that you chose,
Yes.
not for the job that is being dictated to you.
Yeah. So, we talked about the evolution of a therapist, and it's multifaceted, as most things are, because we deal with messy human lives.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So wherever you are developmentally in your career, one, take stock and look back at where you came from and where you are now and appreciate the work that you've done, because we don't get enough of that.
Yeah.
Take a moment to pause to make sure that where you're at is where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then perhaps look at what might be next for you. Maybe it is supervision. Maybe it is a credential. Maybe it is becoming a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And know that there are those in the field who would love to support you in achieving those
Mm-hmm.
goals. And if this is too much, save this episode, come back to it when you are ready to take that leap and look at what might be next for you.
I love that. I actually do love that.
Yeah.
I don't want to add anything. I was like, yes. Give
Yeah.
yourself permission, right?
Yes, absolutely. Just giving yourself permission. This episode is a kick in the pants and a hug all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two mama bears are just like giving you information. You get to decide what works for you.
Hmm.
We're just naming what was not named for us.
Yeah.
And now we're witnessing as leaders in our community with the responsibility that that carries. And in that responsibility, deciding, can we name this for others so that you get to decide what's going to work for you? Not for me, not for Maria, but for you.
Yeah. So another welcome to the Heroes Welcome podcast, because that this is what this podcast is for.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the things that haven't been named but are talked about in the corners of those rooms. And you can take what lands for you and leave the rest.
Until next time.
Till then, bye guys.
Thank you for joining us on the Heroes Welcome podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe, just maybe, a little fun along the way.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your fellow healers. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful,